Hi everyone, I'm very excited to share with you the day and the hour of the rapture. I believe it has been there in the heavens for the last 9 years. So let me get straight to it. Before that, let me clear this hurdle. That is, a lot of folks are looking at September 11, 2026 as the rapture date. However, I do not agree, and for this reason, of course, you can support the date with some other reasons, but if you appeal to the Revelation 12 sign, then I would say no, not September 11. I believe the Revelation 12 sign will be fulfilled on October 12, 2026, 6:11 p.m. Jerusalem time, sunset. So let me give you the reason why September 11 does not work. Now, if you look at the key scripture, Revelation 12:1, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So you have to have those elements present. Now take a look. September 11, 2026, at the sunset, Jerusalem. Look at the sun, look at the moon. The sun is in Leo, constellation of the lion. It's not in the woman, Virgo. And the moon is not under the feet of the maiden. This is Virgo. So the moon is somewhere here, far away, more at the crown, the head level. So it does not satisfy. Moon under the feet, woman clothed with the sun. Because the sun right now is on the hind leg, the right paw of the lion, the hind right paw, is not in the Virgo constellation. So therefore, this is not going to work. Let me play the animation here. So you can see the movement of the sun as we move from September 11. So currently it's September 11. Next, 13, 14, 15, 16. So at September 16, you are just entering Virgo. And we carry on until we reach October. October 10, October 8, October 9, 10. So we are just about to enter into the womb. 12. So right at 12, we pause here, and the moon is at the feet of Virgo. So later I'll explain what do you mean by under the feet. Not at the feet, but more like the moon under her feet. So how do you interpret this position, the moon position, as under the feet of the maiden? We'll take a look later. And September 23, 2017, that is the mega sign that fulfills Revelation 12:1. This is the Revelation 12 sign. And it happened on September 23, 2017. Why is that so? You have to look at the scripture again. Well, whether this particular day satisfies the Revelation 12 requirements. Okay, let's take a look at one at a time. First, the moon is under her feet. Okay, I can establish that it's under her feet. And the sun is within Virgo, because the woman is clothed with the sun. So you can see the sun is at the shoulder. And the stars, okay, there are 12 stars crowning the head of the woman. So where are the 12 stars? You have Lion, which is from the constellation Leo. There are 9 stars within this constellation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But together with the planets, Venus, Mars, and Mercury in a straight line. So 9 plus 3, that's 12. And 12 on top of the head of the woman, that is the crown. So it's a crown of 12 stars. So this is beyond dispute. Everybody agrees that there are 12 stars on the head of the woman. So it fulfills Revelation 12:1. So we have 3 ticks here. Moon is at the right position under the feet. Sun is at the shoulder. The woman is clothed with the sun. And 12 stars that form the crown on her head. So lion signifies kingship. Lion is the king. However, so what happened? I mean, if the sign was fulfilled 9 years ago, are we expecting it to be fulfilled again? So a lot of people have forgotten about it because they thought that nothing happens for the last 9 years. And are we expecting something to happen? Is there yet certain element in this prophecy that is not yet fulfilled? First, we have to understand how significant this sign is. And I've checked. If you look back the 6,000 years prior to, our time, this is the one and only. You can't find another. Although critics actually try to disprove it, they try to debunk, especially this guy from Vatican is an astronomer, Christopher, Granny. So he came up with 4 other dates that appear to fulfill this sign in the last 1,000 years or so. But if you really look at each in turn, they do not fulfill the requirement. So I've checked. And better still, in fact, this sign is so unique. It is the one and only, even in the millennium. If you go forward in another 1,000 years, you're not going to find this sign. So it is just one in 7,000 years. That is how significant it is. And it appeared in the sky 9 years ago. So what happened? Do we expect some unfulfilled elements in this sign? I want to argue that yes, because of Jupiter. Look at Jupiter. And again, this is well known. It's published. You can look it up. Jupiter stayed in the womb of the maiden, of the woman, for 293 days precisely. So because of the retrograde motion and all that, Jupiter stays within this area which forms the womb for slightly more than 9 months, 293 days. And that is the pregnancy days. 293 is 41 weeks and 6 days. And that is the last day of a full-term pregnancy. A late term. Late-term pregnancy is 41 weeks, 6 days. If it is full-term, that is 40 weeks and 6 days. And that is 286 days. But you add 7 days to it, so it becomes 293. That means it is the late-term pregnancy. The very last day is day 293. And Jupiter spent exactly 293 days within the womb of Virgo. Surely this must find fulfillment sometime, because otherwise, why would God put a sign in the heavens? And it is so rare, only once in 7,000 years. And it has appeared in the sky 9 years ago. Then what happened? Do we expect it to be fulfilled? I believe yes. It's going to be fulfilled on October 12, 2026, 6 p.m. Why do I say that? Because you have to interpret 293 days, which is 9 months and 20 days, as 9 years and 20 days. So clearly it can't be 293 days because that's past. So it has to be 9 years and 20 days. Let me show you how the math works out. So 293 days, that's 9 months, 20 days. But we convert it to 9 years and 20 days. Just like a lot of other prophetic passages, you find a month can stand for a year and so on, right? To the Lord, a day is 1,000 years. So here, 9 months becomes 9 years, 20 days still remain 20 days. So 9 years from when the sign appeared, 923, 2017, to 922 this year, that will be 9 years. And you add another 20 days to 922, that means from 923 to 1012. That's exactly 20 days. So I want to argue that 9 years and 20 days will fulfill this sign. So we have to look at October 12, 2026. We have to look at Stellarium, look at Virgo, and see how this sign is fulfilled after 9 years and 20 days. So look at Revelation 12:5. The woman brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. Caught up is harpazo. This is rapture. So the man child is the bride, and that's Jupiter, essentially. When the time is right for a child to be delivered, to be brought forth, to be born, that's when the rapture happens, day and hour. So I'm going to show it to you that there's a dual aspect to this sign. That is, Israel is involved, the church is involved. So for Israel, the sign may yet find fulfillment, during the tribulation or at the end of the tribulation, because of the 12 stars that form the crown. That means you have to look at Jesus returning as the King of Kings towards the end of the tribulation. But for the church, for the bride at the rapture, he returns not as the king, but as the bridegroom, and he will come and save the bride. He will snatch harpazo, catch the bride up into heavens before all the bad things happen. So I'm going to argue that there are two aspects to the fulfillment of the Revelation 12 sign. So I'm going to go into the next sign that will be fulfilled, which is at the rapture, at the day, at the hour of rapture. Take a look. It points to October 12, 2026. How so? Well, the key verse is in the Old Testament, right? Surprisingly, because Revelation 12, that's a New Testament verse, and in fact, it's the very last book written by John, the Apostle John. Whereas Genesis is the very first book, and this particular verse has connection to the Revelation 12 sign. Everybody agrees with that. But there are some puzzling details which are different. For example, 11 stars instead of 12. And there's no crown mentioned. Also, there's no woman or maiden. All we have is, okay, let's read the verse. And Joseph dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. They bowed down to Joseph. So the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed down to Joseph. Now, this was, of course, outrageous to the brothers, especially the 10 brothers. I'm not sure about Benjamin, but it was the 10 brothers who sold him off to Egypt. And even Jacob was a bit mad at Joseph, because Joseph, this Jacob was saying, how could the sun and the moon, which refers to the father and the son, bow down to Joseph? But Jacob kept this in his heart, all right, because there's something to it. So how do you interpret 11 stars then? It's not 12 stars. Of course, you can think of Joseph as the 12th star. Fair enough, because there are 12 sons of Jacob, and Joseph, in fact, is the 11th son, and Benjamin, the last one, which is a 12th son. But in this case, how can the 11 brothers, the 11 stars, bow down to Joseph, who is one of them? So this is where things can get a bit tricky, and I hope you get it even as I explain. Okay, let me first of all show you where the sun and the moon is. The sun is within Virgo, right, in the womb. Over here, the moon, I will show you later, is under the feet of the woman. Right, this is considered under the feet, not at the feet, not next to the feet, but under the feet. And obeisance just means the 11 stars bow down, the sun and the moon bow down before Joseph in worship. So how do you explain the 11 stars? These are the 11 stars within Virgo. Surprise, surprise. And there is another star which is excluded, is not counted. So in the sky, what do you call the culture? This particular sky culture is a Western sky culture, which is accepted worldwide, internationally, the most widely accepted. And for Virgo, you have 12 stars that form the nodes of the so-called the stick figure, right? Just like matchstick, you connect them up. And I exclude one star so that there are 11 stars within Virgo, the woman. And I argue that this is the 11 stars. So why this one is not counted, I will let you know soon. And it is not in Leo. Unlike the Revelation 12, the September 23, 2017 fulfillment, the 12 stars are found in Leo, the Lion King, okay, at the crown, the head area. But over here, the 11 stars are within the maiden, are on the maiden. And there's one which is excluded. That's very puzzling. And they are supposed to be in the prostrate posture, which, as you can see, the woman is more or less lying horizontally. But you have to look at Virgo from the other direction. If just imagine a space traveler or interstellar traveler approaching the Earth. From that standpoint, you will be looking at the back of the woman. Understand? So the woman is actually lying prostrate in the worship position. And so the 11 stars can be conceived as performing the worship, the obeisance, together with the sun and the moon. Okay, just hold your horses, right? I need more explanation to convince you. And okay, the thing is this. So if you take the 11 stars as contained within the Virgo constellation, and this actually happens every year when it comes to the September, October time when the sun is found within Virgo and the moon may be found at the feet of the maiden. So if this happens every year, how do we know this is the year? Now, this is where you have to look at more information or confirmation. Obeisance, the Hebrew Strong's number is 7812, which is the sum of 2026 with 5786, the current Hebrew year. So the hint is given here. The number is telling us that this is the year when this sign happens in Virgo. That is the day and the hour. The hour is 6:11 p.m. Jerusalem time. And the interesting thing, another thing to note is the stellarium is using Jerusalem observation point at 786 meter elevation, and 786 is a short form for 5786. So it's just so interesting that this just so happens to be the case. From where you look at the heavens, the Virgo constellation from this position, and in this year, right, next month, October, that is the day and the hour is 6:11, that you should consider this sign carefully to see if that is the fulfillment of the 293 days after the appearance of the 23rd September Revelation 12 sign. Okay? And I argue that it is. So let me now show you the proof why I think it is valid to regard the 11 stars and not include this, what is known as the foot star. The feet, there are 2 feet stars. So this is the one on the left foot. We exclude it. So I actually drew the stick figure the other way. That is, as viewed from an observer behind the woman. Okay, not in front. In front will be the earth observer watching the sky, the woman, Virgo in heaven, from our vantage point. But this is from the viewpoint of someone approaching the solar system, meaning when Jesus comes with his angels, he will be looking at these 12 stars in this position. Okay? And so as mentioned, I excluded the left foot, now appear as right. So this stick here will not be included. It's colored differently. So why do I say the 11 stars can fit Genesis chapter 37 verse 9, Joseph's dream? Is because of this stunning connection here. You can see Yosef in Hebrew. There are 4 Hebrew letters: Yod, Vav, Samek, and Pe, and that's how they are written. And I actually took the sticks uh, and form them, okay, as according to the Hebrew letters. For example, yod. So this is the yod stick over here. You just literally just move from the main body here and separate them over here. And vav, right? This is vav. Just place it below the letter vav. And samek, okay, the womb area. And then pay. There's a little hook here. So the last stick in magenta color has to be excluded because Joseph fits the 11 sticks, the 11 stars, not the 12 star. You have to exclude the 12 star. Well, it makes sense because if the 11 stars are making obeisance and lie prostrate before Joseph, how can Joseph be worshipping himself? He has to be excluded. He is the one receiving the worship. And Joseph is a perfect type of Jesus, right? Not returning as king, but returning as savior, right? The suffering servant now becoming exalted after he rose from the dead, and he will return back to earth to save the bride, the church. So there you go. This is very strong proof that the 11 stars that is on the Hebrew letters that form Yosef, and indeed 11 points to the church, not Israel. Israel is 12 stars, and Israel will yet reign with King David on the throne in the millennium. But the 11 here points to the 11 apostles. Okay, when Jesus rose from the dead, he met the 11 disciples in the room, within the room, and Jesus said, "Peace be unto you." You know, when Thomas was with them, the doubting Thomas, there were 11 of them. So 11 pertains to the church, the rapture of the bride. But the 12 subsequent fulfillment, basically the Revelation 12 sign appearing on September 23rd, 2017, kind of start the countdown. And 9 years later, the day and the hour of the rapture will happen. So you have the 11 stars here, and they form the body of Joseph, which is a type of Jesus. So this is the body of Jesus, the body of Christ. And they are prostrating before Joseph at his feet. So this is the foot, right? This is excluded. At the feet of Jesus, they lay prostrate at the rapture. So like I said, Genesis 37:9 happens every year. That's without a doubt, because we consider the 11 stars in the woman or on the woman. And when the sun is in Virgo, the moon has to be at her feet or under her feet, more accurately, under her feet. So these two are requirements of the Revelation 12:1. But then the worship only happens this year, 2026/5786, going into 5787, precisely after 6:11 p.m. on October 12, 2026. We are going to see the beginning of 5787. And worship here gives us the clue that this is the year, this is the day and hour that we should be looking at for the culmination of the Revelation 12 sign, which started 9 years ago. So here we have more confirmation. because the interesting stick that sticks out, the magenta stick, that is the 12th star, Joseph being excluded from the 11 brothers or 11 stars. Now, these two stars forming this stick, the numbers and their position gives us the rapture date. Well, this is the 10th star, because in terms of the star catalog number, it is just below 109 and 107. But since we exclude 107, it's not part of the 11, it's the 12. So therefore, from 99, okay, you have to start from the beginning. This is the third, I think, third, and so on and so forth. And this is 47, 43, I can't remember which. So as you progress towards the feet region, the number gets bigger. That's how the stars are cataloged within the constellation. And so 99 will then go to 109, the 11th star. Hence, 99 Virginis or Ver, that's the 10th star. And so the last star, which is the 12th star, is 107. You add 107 with 99, you get 206, which points to 2026. The 10th star points to October, the 12th star points to 12. So this is a rapture date hidden right at the foot, the left foot of Joseph, where the worship happens. 11 stars make obeisance to him. And don't forget the sun and the moon as well. We can talk about sun and moon and how they fit in. But the 11 is definitely referring to the 11 brothers, which typifies the church or the bride. Okay, the 11 apostles, the 11 disciples. The sun and the moon is also worshipping. You can find that in Psalms. The sun and the moon and the stars are worshipping the Creator. I mean, I would say this could point to some other created beings like angels. Okay. Now, I want to show you that from 2017 September 23, when the sign appeared in the heavens, Revelation 12 sign, to where we are today, 9 years later, none of the years can meet the requirement of the moon under the feet of the maiden. The sun, no problem, because every September, October, when it comes around, the sun will be found in Virgo. All right. And however, if you go through all the years right up to 2026, you will find, okay, none of them meet the moon condition. Take a look. 2018. The moon is at the anchor region, not at the feet. Okay, the strict requirement is under the feet, not at the feet, not next to the feet, under the feet. So this is definitely no. 2018, no. Sun, yes, is in Virgo, but the other condition is not met. 2019, same situation. You have sun here near the shoulder or the arm, but the moon is not under the feet. 2020, sun is near the head, the moon is even further up, okay, at the thigh area. 2021, sun is at the elbow, I would say. The moon, okay, is far from under the feet. 2022, the sun is near the shoulder. The moon is near the upper torso. So again, fail. 2023, The sun is right at the crown, so that's fine because remember, September 16, that's when the sun begins to enter into Virgo constellation. So that's fine, that can satisfy the requirement. But look at the moon, it's at the elbow, far from under the feet. 2024, the sun is at the elbow, the moon is just slightly above the knee, nowhere near under the feet. 2025, that is last year, Brother Joshua's famous date, 923. The sun is at the shoulder. Yes, that's a tick. The moon is at the tip of the left hand. That's, far from under the feet. Then finally, of course, we have 2026, October 12, 6:11 p.m. The sun is near the torso, the upper torso, and the moon, which I'll prove to you, is under her feet. It may not look so in terms of visual. You can see it on the screen. It's just next to the feet. It's a bit far, I would say, but it has not entered into the next constellation, which is Libra. Okay, so the illumination is 4.1%. Now the moon looks bright, but it is just a crescent, 4.1%. I'll show you as well. So the thing is this, you have to understand what is meant by ecliptic. Ecliptic is the path, is the apparent path traced out by the sun over the entire 12 constellation in 1 year. So it's a great circle that you can think of, that is the apparent path. It's not the actual path of the sun as such, but so we know the earth orbits around the sun. So the earth orbit, that's the real sort of circle, if you like. However, because we on earth are looking up into the heavens and the sun, when the sun appears in certain constellation, and that gives us our the month, the sign of the month. And so there is a path whereby the sun actually moves along the ecliptic pretty consistently. And the interesting thing is all the planets also are on the ecliptic, including the moon. Okay, the moon is slightly off the ecliptic, but is quite near it, you can see. So the ecliptic is where things are happening, where all the 12 zodiac signs are located. Leo, Virgo, Libra, and the next one, and so on. So there are 12 of them all line up along this axis, which is called the ecliptic. All right, that's important to understand. And so Virgo is actually in this position. She doesn't look upright. But however, if you imagine, if this is the ecliptic, the great circle, and the earth is here, the earth, the equator, the other great circle is here. So it's making an angle of 23.5 degrees. Precisely, that's the tilt of the earth that gives us the equinox, the seasons. Right? Ecliptic, that's very important. Ecliptic. So we have the measure using the ecliptic, and the longitude of the ecliptic is perpendicular to this great circle, which I'm showing you here, the axis here. Right? So this is the longitude. So if you look at the longitude, just imagine the woman is standing on the plane here, on this line. So anything below her feet, that is so-called under the feet, like into the ground. So I'm going to show you close up. The moon is below her feet. Okay, I haven't completed the whole range up to next year, 2027. Also, the sign is not met. The moon is still not under the feet, and 2028 also does not meet the Revelation 12 requirement. The moon is not under the feet. I show you why I say the moon is under the feet on October 12th, the true Feast of Trumpets. Close up on the moon, 4.1% illumination. So it's just a crescent. It's not the bright lit object we see on other screens. So the actual size is this. The actual percentage illumination is just a crescent. So this qualifies as new moon, 1st of Tishri. And we have to locate the ecliptic longitude, which is at 222.061 degrees over here. Let's take a look at the feet. The foot, the left foot, 107 Virginis, the left foot over here. And the moon is here. Okay. The moon, we have to measure. So if the moon is at 222.061 and the left foot star is at 220.5, so it is indeed below the left foot star. Do you see that? So the moon is actually below it by this number of hours, 4 hours, 19 minutes, and 16 seconds. So moon is under her feet for some time. When 1st of Tishri actually kicks in with the sunset time, 6:11. So it satisfies the requirement that meets the Revelation 12 sign. Now, amazingly, the Apostle John provides the double witness. In Revelation 12:5, where the male child is actually caught up, hapazo, in that verse, 4 verses after Revelation 12:1, when the sign appeared. So there is that interval, a gap there, which I argue is 9 years, 20 days for the birth of the male child, considered the last day of late term pregnancy, 41 weeks, 6 days. So 293 days is 9 months, 20 days, but we convert that to 9 years and 20 days, and we will land on October 12. And Revelation 12:5 actually provides that double witness. Because if you count using John's 1,415 verses, he wrote 5 books with a total of 1,415 verses. And this verse is John's verse 1210. That looks like 12th of October. And it is. But if you count this verse from the last verse of the Bible, which is Revelation 22:21, this is verse 206, which points to 2026. And 206 looks like the 206 we saw at the tip, at the left foot, with the star catalog numbers adding up to 206. So this match is perfect. I mean, there's agreement, there's double witness. Okay, over here you can see 107 Ver plus 99 Ver, and 99, by the way, is rapture in simple gematria. You have the 10 star, you have the 12 star, pointing to October 12, pointing to 206, which points to 2026. And here, John is providing the double witness. Now, one thing, there's something about Joseph and John, which I'm going to come to that pretty soon. But before that, I want to show you another amazing thing. You look at the stick figure of Virgo, you rotate it upright over here, and you can see, in actual fact, from the standpoint of Jesus and angels approaching earth, they will be seeing Joseph, the body of Christ, lie prostrate with the 11 stars, excluding the 12, because Joseph is being worshipped. The 11 stars are making obeisance to him. And you see the Hebrew letters is in correct anti-clockwise order. So you start with Yod over here. You go anti-clockwise, you see the Vav. Go further, you see Samek, which looks like a circle, that's the womb. And finally, you see Pe, the letter Pe. Now, Pe looks this way because it's the last letter and it can be in the final form, which it is. So this is the final form for Pe. There's a hook, and you have something that looks like the like valve or rash. So you have, in the right order, Yod, Vav, Samek, Pe, anti-clockwise. And the amazing thing is, if you start from Yod, you can trace out an angle when you reach the end, the last letter. This vertical stroke here, manually, I counted, is about 286 degrees. Okay, this is a 2D projection onto Virgo. It's not the 3D, the actual Virgo stars, the 11 stars, the 12 stars, and the sticks that you might imagine. So it's a 2D projection, but the amazing thing is the angle is 286, and 286 points to October 13, the day after October 12, 6:11 p.m. So we know October 13 is Tishri 1 proper, because it begins the evening before 6 p.m., in this case 6:11 p.m. That's on October 12. And so that day, October 12, is day 285 of 2026. But 286 is October 13. It's captured by the angle here as we go around anti-clockwise to complete the four letters, the four Hebrew letters that form Yosef. Isn't that amazing? More amazing stuff. The word brought forth, meaning deliver, the man child is born. So that Greek word that it looks like TikTok is tikto, and that has a Greek value of 385, and day 385 counting from Brother Joshua's start date 9/23/2025. That's October 12, 2026. And harpazo, the Greek value is 406, which can be broken down to 200 plus 206. That points to 2026. So the 206 is interesting because it shows up, as the sum of the star catalog numbers of the 10th and the 12th star, and also the verse counting from the end of the Bible that lands on Revelation 12:5, which is exactly the harpazo of the male child. Joseph was given an Egyptian name, Zophnath Paneah. I may not say it right. And it means revealer of secrets. And remember, Joseph is the type of Christ, not pointing to King David. the returning king, the King of Kings, but this is more the Savior, the suffering servant became exalted and the Savior of the world. And he is going to save the church first. Okay? He's going to save the bride first, I should say, and the rest of the world later. Look at how Joseph is linked to John. So Jesus reveals the secret to John's question on who is it in John 13:25, and which is, sorry, I think I wrote it wrong here. It should be John 13:25, but that is John's verse 6:11, and 6:11 is going to be important because which I'll show in the next slide. So John leans on Jesus, lying on Jesus, and asks him, who is the person going to betray him? That's in John chapter 13. And Jesus said, basically Judas, right? Hinted to John is Judas. And so how is John connected to Joseph? Well, John is the apostle who gave us the Revelation 12 sign. And Joseph enacted out the rapture version of the Revelation 12 sign. And in this video, I have no time to go into Genesis to talk about how the rapture date is hidden there. I'll do another video on that. But so, the two are connected. So Joseph represents the church in the prostrate worship position, lying down horizontally. John lying horizontally, leaning on Jesus, lying on the bosom, the breast of Jesus. The word breast is very important. Okay, so it's going to link to 6:11. So Joseph also has a 6:11 because Joseph received double portions. He's represented twice in the 12 tribes in Revelation. Look at Revelation 7:6-7:8. Manasseh and Joseph, the tribe of Manasseh, the tribe of Joseph, double portion. This is tribe 6, listed as the 6th tribe. Joseph is listed as the 11th tribe, which is also his birth order. He is the 11th son of Jacob. So you have 6:11 for Joseph, you have 6:11 for John. And the Revelation chapter verse number is very interesting. You have 7:8:7, you have 7:8:6. So there's that transition there. We are transiting from 7:8:6 to 7:8:7 precisely on October 12, 2026, 6:11 p.m. Wow. Just look at that. It's amazing. You notice this is the last arrow. This is the last arrow landing on Joseph. So 11, as mentioned, points to the bride. 11 disciples saw Jesus in John 20:26. That's with Thomas in that verse, together with the other 10 disciples or apostles. 11. Another instance of that in Matthew 28:17, the 11 disciples worship Jesus. Worship. Okay? Worship. Shokor in Hebrew, and that's H7812, which is sum of 2026 with 5786. So, wow, this is really incredible. So the 11 stars prostrated at the feet of Joseph, and that's represented by the moon. The moon is under the feet of Virgo. But for John, he was lying on Jesus' breast, and that's represented by the sun in Virgo. And that's in verse 6:11. So let's take a look at that verse. Verse 6:11, John's verse 611 in the Gospel of John, which is this verse where John is seen lying on Jesus' breast and ask him, Lord, who is it? So verse 611 of John's Gospel is verse 2026 of the 1,415 verses he wrote upon the second read. So if you read these verses the second time, basically you add 1415 with 611, you get 2026. So 611 is pointing to the year, is pointing to 6:11 p.m. And the word breast in Greek, statos, has a Greek value of 787. That is precisely the Hebrew year at 6:11 p.m., October 12, 2026. 786, pointing to the day and the hour. And even the Strong's number for statos can add to 10 with 12, which is October 12. So look at the position of the sun. The sun is in the womb, right, on this hour, this day. And the breast, the location of the breast actually overlie the second rib and the sixth rib of the rib cage. Sorry. That's about 60%, okay, counting from or measuring from the collarbone or the first rib. So it's between second and the sixth where the breast overlie the rib cage, lie on top. And the position of the sun looks to be 60%. If you count from the top of this trapezium that is supposed to represent the womb. So the position is right. So when the sun entered Virgo on September 16, which is at the head level, on day 27, it hits October 12 here at the 60 position within the breast, the womb area. Okay, 60% from here. So that is the sixth rib. 27 is 7 plus 8 plus 7. Again, points to the Hebrew year 786. Exactly at 611 on 12 October 2026. So everything seems to tie in. Now let's take a look at the rib cage. So from rib 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6, this is where the breast overlie, right? Overlie on both sides. And the word for breast in Greek is statos. And the value is 787 in Greek. So another rapture code is hidden here because from rib 2 to rib 6, there's a 2, 6 there that points to 26, points to 2026. And the breasts overlie 10 ribs, right? 5 on each side. From rib 2 to rib 6, there's 5, another 5 over here. So there are 10 ribs, pointing to October. And it's contained within the first 12 ribs, right? From rib 1 to rib 6 on one side, and rib 1 to rib 6 on the other side. There are 12 ribs we are looking at here, but the breast overlie 10 ribs. So you see the rapture date, 2026, October 12. Even the timing can be found in the rib cage because you have the first pair, which is rib 1 on both sides. Okay, you don't number from rib 1 to rib 24. That's how it's numbered from. So we have 12 pairs of ribs, which is 24 ribs. So the first pair at the sternum, that is rib 1 on left, rib 1 on the right. So we have 611 here. Can you see? 611. Then there's also another 611 over the other side. 611. Pointing to the date, the time. 6:11 p.m. when the sun sets. That's when 787 statos, the Greek value of statos, that's when 787 begins. So, okay, I believe that's the end of my video. I didn't expect to be this long, but I think it's necessary for me to explain clearly why I think Genesis chapter 37 verse 9 is the culmination, fulfillment of the Jupiter reaching late term, the last day of late term, and reaching the birthing moment, the day and the hour of the rapture. So I believe it's going to happen. So I'll see you in the air, brethren.